everyone, Stormy Strike here, and in this video I'm going to be showing all of the BreyerFest 2022 models and giving my thoughts on them. From the event models to the special runs, from limited editions to prize models. I meant to do this video a long time ago now, but one benefit of this video coming out later is that Breyer has revealed even more models that we are able to talk about in this video. So let's start off with the event ticket models. Every BreyerFest ticket comes with a free model, although which model it comes with depends on which type of ticket you purchase. The traditional scale celebration horse comes with the in-person all-access ticket and the online traditional access ticket. One randomly selected of 4 stablemates comes with the in-person general admission ticket and online stablemates access ticket. The in-person VIP ticket includes both the traditional celebration model and a set of the 4 event stablemates. Let's talk about the 2022 celebration horse Nicholas, who I already did a video on when he was announced, so I won't spend too much time on him. Since I did that video, there are some new photos of this model that came out later on. There's this nice side view of him, which really gives us a better idea of his sculpt and conformation. I will admit I'm not overall crazy about the celebration model this year compared to some of the celebration horses from previous years, but I do really like him, and I like him a little bit more than some other past celebration models. His new sculpt is very nice, he makes a very cute pony, and it'll be fun to see what other colors customizers put on him after BreyerFest. Next up are the BreyerFest event stablemates, formerly known as the single-day ticket models. There are 4 of them, and they are all named and inspired after German food and drinks, which I think is very cool. First is Brezel, based on the delicious pretzel, and not only is this model pretzel-inspired, but also Black Forest Horse-inspired. This is a glossy flaxen chestnut on the Fell Pony stablemate mold. I really like this particular model. I think it is adorable. I love the color and I love the gloss. This is definitely one I've considered trying to get because I think it is just very cool. Second up here is Spatzel, and I know that's like the American pronunciation. It's not actually how it's pronounced in German, but this is a tribute to an egg noodle dish. The actual dish does look quite tasty. As for the model, he is a buttermilk buckskin pinto on the Alborozo stablemate mold. Sometimes I think I'm tired of the Alborozo stablemate mold because he is just getting used so much, but then they had to go and put a buttermilk buckskin on him, and, you know, it's hard not to want this guy in this very pretty color. This is another one that I have considered maybe trying to get because he is just so pretty, and I like the design of this model a lot. The third stablemate is Lakritz, which is German for licorice. I'm personally not a huge fan of licorice myself, but this guy is very pretty. He is a dark dappled gray in gloss with black, red, and yellow braids. I think the black, yellow, and red braids is my favorite part about him because those are the colors of the German flag. I do actually quite like his color too. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is his mold, which is what I'm seeing a lot of other people say too. And it's not like I dislike this mold. In fact, I have at least a handful of models on this mold myself. But it does feel a little out of place amongst these other 3 event stablemates because all the other stablemates here are newer molds and are actually shrunken down traditional molds. So this one just feels out of place next to them. It really makes sense why they would choose to use this mold though, because he is a warm blood, a Hanoverian more specifically, which is yet another German horse breed. With that in mind, I couldn't have picked a better stablemate mold to go with this set really either. So while I'm maybe not as crazy about this guy, I do think he is still really cute. And even if he looks out of place amongst the other stablemates, he does fit the BreyerFest theme very well. The 4th stablemate is Doppelbock, which is named for a popular German draft beer. He is a lovely shaded dappled bay, who actually looks like he's also a muley bay, but they don't say he is here. He is on the loose mane Clydesdale Stallion stablemate mold. Personally, I think this mold is super cool. I really like that they added this loose mane and tail variation to the little Clydesdale Stallion mold. I do quite like this guy. I don't know if he's my favorite of the 4 stablemates, but I do really like him. Both his mold and color are just so fun. There are the 4 BreyerFest event stablemates. Overall, I like all of them. I don't always like all 4 of the event stablemates, but this year I really do. Let's take a look now at the limited edition models. The first limited edition model that was revealed is Montanara, which is a portrait model of a Black Forest stallion. In fact, the real Montanara is one of only 2 Black Forest horse stallions found in North America. So that is going to be really cool to see the real horse, whether you're going to see him through the videos on Breyer's website or meet him in person. He is a gorgeous horse, as you can see by these pictures of him. His model is done on the old Frisian mold as a rich dark chestnut with a flaxen mane and tail, 4 white socks, and a blaze. He is $70 USD and limited to 3,000 pieces. I know a lot of people are not a fan of this mold. Personally, I do like this mold quite a bit, and I do have several models on it. However, I'm not sure yet if I will buy this guy or not. I think I'm really going to have to see his color in person to really decide if I'm going to buy him. Regardless, I do think he is very cute though. As others have also been discussing too, if Breyer does decide to do pre-orders on glossy limited edition models again, like they have the past 2 years, well, this guy would look really nice in gloss. I would probably definitely order him in gloss if they do something like that, just because I think the gloss would really make that color on him pop. But as of yet, we don't know if they're going to do any glossy limited edition models or not this year. Next is Chardonnay, who is based on a top dressage stallion German riding pony and done on the flash mold. He costs $75 and there are 3,000 pieces of him made. I'm personally not planning on getting this one just because I don't really collect the flash mold. However, I do think the flash mold was a wonderful choice to be a portrait of this particular horse and a good representation of the German riding pony breed. The paint job on this model is also really nice and nicely reflects the real horse. It looks like it has a lot of nice shading, some really cool white markings on the legs, and I really love how the tail on this model is painted. That is my favorite part of how the underside is gray and then the top is a nice darker chestnut on the tail. Just a very nice contrast and it looks really neat. The third traditional scale limited edition model is Chablis. This model is based after a Württemberger, which is a German warm blood breed. Chablis is a multi-champion hunter and its model is done on the braided mane and tail version of the warm blood stallion, aka Idicus mold. Chablis is $75 and there are 3,000 pieces made. I'm really liking this model and so far it is the only traditional scale limited edition model that I am definitely planning on buying. I do quite like the Idicus mold and I really like the braided mane and tail version of it. Plus the color on this one is just very nice. I really like the little kissy spot on his nose too. I know there have been a few bay models done on this mold already and I actually already own them too. But so far they all have been different looking bays and the previous bay models on this mold have not been the braided mane and tail version. So I feel like this guy is very much different enough. The last traditional scale limited edition model. Now this one is unlike the other ones that have already been talked about because it is an online exclusive one, which means he won't be sold at the Kentucky Horse Park like the others, but instead any ticket holder, whether you have an in-person or online ticket, will be able to purchase this guy on the Breyer website during BreyerFest weekend. This is the Rhenish Draft, and he is not a portrait of a specific real-life horse, rather it is just a portrait of a specific breed. Breyer does say that he is inspired by the horses at North Rhine-Westfalen State Stud in Warendorf, Germany. This model is also $75, but there are 5,000 pieces made. This model is a very neat light chestnut with a white mane and tail and feathers. The color on this model is really neat. I like the lighter color on the underbelly. We don't see that in Breyer paint jobs very often. This is on the Georg mold, by the way, which Breyer has been using this mold quite a bit lately, but he has been very popular, so it's no surprise that they are using him yet again. I'm not sure if I'm going to purchase this guy for myself or not. He is very cool looking, but I am trying to be a lot more selective in which models I get, so not sure on him. Now let's go to the one and only Classic Scale or Freedom Series Scale limited edition model for this year's BreyerFest. His name is Black Forest, and he is done on the Classic Scale Shire A. Well, in the blog post it says it's Shire B, but on Identifier Breyer it says Shire A. So I actually don't know which one is technically right here, but it's on the little classic Shire mold. This model is inspired from some different versions of Black Forest, from the Bull and Hunt hat topped with giant red pom-poms to the special dark cherry spirit produced in the Black Forest region to the Black Forest cake. Shiny dark chocolate, fluffy whipped cream, and topped with tart cherries in his mane and tail. This model is $30 and there are 3,000 pieces made. It's been a while now since this model was revealed and I still don't know how I feel about him. He's kind of cool, but I don't think I love him enough to add him to my collection. I suppose that is somewhat surprising because he is sort of a Splash Pinto and I do love Splash Pintos, but I am just not a huge fan of how he is kind of like a borderline between being a realistic colored model and a decorator. Like, I think if his mane and tail were less saturated, he can maybe pass as being a realistic color. Or, on the other hand, if they had made him look even more like a decorator and done something to his design or colors to make him more decorator-like, then maybe I'd want him more then. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would have liked him a lot more if he was a little bit more decorator-like instead of this weird kind of tiptoeing between realistic and decorator. The crystal model for this year's BreyerFest is called Lorelei, and she is a crystal version of the proud Arabian mare. Her price is $50, and she is limited to 2,200 pieces. This is a really cool crystal on such an iconic and popular mold, but this is another one I'm personally not planning on buying, simply because I don't collect the Breyer crystals. I think the Breyer crystals are really neat, but I really gotta limit myself in what I collect sometimes. And the crystals, I just kind of have to draw the line with. I just cannot collect the crystals on top of everything else I collect. The plush for BreyerFest 2022 is called Strudel. BreyerFest is very food-inspired this year. Strudel costs $20 and is limited to 2,500 pieces. This is an adorable horse wearing traditional free lederhosen and a hat. He is also sitting instead of on all four legs, like a lot of the past BreyerFest plush horses have been. I do think this guy is really adorable, but the only thing I'm not a huge fan of is how the hooves on his bottom feet look massive compared to the hooves on his front feet. I see how that design probably came about in manufacturing, but I just find the big proportion difference a little off. At least in this picture of him, maybe he is a lot cuter in person. And regardless, I do still plan on getting this guy, because at this point I do feel like I need to have a Breyer plush for every BreyerFest I've attended. On to stablemates. First is Wittelsbach, who is $15 and limited to 5,000 pieces. He is inspired after the House of Wittelsbach, which is one of the oldest dynasties to have ruled in Germany. The familiar crest of white and blue lozenges was acquired by the House of Wittelsbach when the Counts of Bogen, an eastern Bavarian noble family, died off. The crest later became the state flag of Bavaria. As was quickly pointed out by many people when this model was first revealed, he is in fact very similar to the BreyerFest 2018 special run Newmarket. However, that model was based after racing silks and not the Bavarian flag. I think this little guy is very cute, and I may actually get him. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I do kind of collect the little decorator stablemates for BreyerFest themes. Kind of like the BreyerFest plushes, they just make a really nice little memento of the BreyerFest theme for each year. And this year there's actually a second decorator stablemate, and this one is called Torlinia, which means goal line. This one is also $15, and there are 4,000 pieces. Unlike the previous stablemate model, this one will be like the Rhenish Draft model in that it won't be available for sale at in-person BreyerFest and is only available to purchase online on BreyerHorses.com during BreyerFest weekend. This little guy is an obvious homage to football, aka American soccer. I personally won't be getting this model for myself because I am not a football or soccer or sports fan at all, but I imagine that those that do like football or soccer will like this little guy. I think the touch of one of the little pentagons on this model being the colors of the German flag is very cute. Lastly, for limited edition stablemates is the Best of BreyerFest Series 3 stablemate set. This is a set of 5 stablemates, which costs $60 and is limited to 3,500 sets. Let's go over each model here and which past BreyerFest model they are based after, which for this set they are all based after BreyerFest 2016 models. I'm going to go ahead and just read directly off of the BreyerFest blog post about each of them here. Schumacher has been inspired by Senna, 2016's Open Show Grand Champion prize model, in a flashy red dun blanket, named after Michael Schumacher, one of the most successful Formula One drivers in the world. Linzer has been inspired by Brigadeiros, 2016's Open Show Reserve Champion prize model, in an eye-catching Beethoviano. Linzers are a popular cookie found throughout Germany, filled with different jams and preserves. Muller has been inspired by Pele, 2016 BreyerFest Carnival Challenge Diorama Contest Prize, in a stunning glossy dappled bay. Named after Thomas Muller, a German soccer player who plays for both Germany's national team and state team, Bayern Munich. Radler has been inspired by Caipirinha, 2016's volunteer model, in a beautiful dapple rose gray. Radler is a Bavarian drink which is a mixture of light beer and sparkling lemonade. Mayfeld has been inspired by Palomar, 2016's early bird raffle, in a light bay leopard Appaloosa, named after the Mayfeld Cup, which has become one of the most popular and prestigious polo events in Europe. I think all of these little stablemates are very cute. From what I've heard, the Mini Croy one is the most popular one right now amongst collectors, and it is easy to see why. She is a fun mold, and that glossy bay coloring does look really good on her. I think the little walking thoroughbred is really neat how well he fits his little traditional counterpart, and the color is just very cool. The same could also be said for the little Prince Charming guy. Additionally, I actually really quite like the little Mustang as a dun blanket Appaloosa. I think that just looks really good on the mold. He actually might be my favorite of this set, but it's hard to tell. Of this set, the Cantering Warmblood is probably my least favorite, and that's mainly because there have been colors released on this mold in the past that are very similar, so she just doesn't feel as much as a standout to me. For myself, I don't think I'm going to be purchasing this set. I do think these models are very cute, but I am once again trying really hard to be more selective about which models I purchase. I'm also really trying to cut back on my stablemates because I just have too many stablemates, so I am trying really hard not to buy that many more stablemates right now. Now that is it for the BreyerFest 2022 limited edition models, but there are still a lot of models left to talk about. Now let's talk about the special runs. The first special run that was revealed is Landler. Landler is a traditional folk dance done in 3/4 time that was popular in southern Germany in the 18th century. You might also recognize this name from the movie Sound of Music. Breyer's version of Landler is a dappled rose gray with 4 white socks on the Totalist mold, sculpted by Bridget Abro, who I have already mentioned in previous videos talking about BreyerFest 2022, but Bridget Eberl is a German sculptor, so it's no surprise that we're seeing a lot of her sculpts for BreyerFest this year. Landler is $65 from Breyer and is limited to 2,300 pieces. My overall impressions of this model are that he is beautiful, and it totally makes sense that they would pick this mold, not only for him being a warm blood and sculpted by a German sculptor, but also because he is doing dressage, which also kind of looks like he's dancing. I really like this guy. I think he is very pretty. He was not one of my top picks on the special runs this year, but I do think he is very nice, and I probably wouldn't mind having him in my collection. I like the fact that he does have little flea bites in his coloring, and he has some nice details like striped hooves. The second special run model that was revealed is actually 2 models. This is Elbe and Spree, which are inspired by geography. The Elbe River begins in the Czech Republic and ends its journey in the North Sea on the northwestern coast of Germany. It is the 12th largest river basin in Europe and 680 miles long, or 1,094 kilometers. The Spree River is short at only 250 miles, or 402 kilometers long, but is the main river flowing through some larger German cities, including Berlin and Brandenburg. Breyer's Elbe and Spree are red Beethoviano Pintos on the new Hawkeye and Firefly molds. I really like these molds so far, and I did an unboxing video of the Premier Club models if you want to see some more detail on what these new molds look like in hand. The Elbe and Spree Marin full set is priced at $70 USD and limited to 2,200 pieces. This is actually not a surprise that we are seeing these 2 molds as BreyerFest special runs, as it is a common pattern that every other year of BreyerFest they have a special run be a set of a Mare and Foal. Furthermore, the past several BreyerFests that have had Mare and Foal special runs have all been newer Premier Club releases, so a lot of people were already expecting that this Mare and Foal mold would be used as a special run this year. When it comes to my own thoughts on these two particular models, I kind of have mixed feelings because I love these molds, as I've already said, but I'm not totally crazy about the coloring. For some reason, I'm not a huge fan of Beethoviano Pintos, and I really have no idea why. I do think these two are very pretty though. If I was more crazy about their color, they would be at the top of my want list on the special runs this year, but because I'm not super crazy about the color and pattern for them, they're a little bit lower on my list. I still would like to maybe get them though. The third special run that was revealed is Stein, which is the German word for stone and earthenware mugs that are commonplace. The model Stein is a Gruyot on the Mustang Stallion, aka Fireheart mold. He is $65 USD and limited to 2,300 pieces. He is my favorite special run model for this year and at the very top of my want list. Gruyot is probably my favorite horse color, so I'm really excited to see them do this color on this particular mold. He has some really nice leg barring in these pictures of him. The little snip and star on his face are very cute. I also really like that mix of white and black in his mane and tail. That looks really neat. He is just such a cool looking model, and I really hope I'm able to get him. The technically fourth special run that was revealed was actually not revealed, the Rotating Draft Surprise. I'm not going to really talk about this model because I already did a whole speculation video talking about what I think this model might be. I will have the link to that video in the cards or the video description down below. The fifth special run that was revealed is the non-equine animal special run for this year. There are actually 4 interesting things about this model / models that at least I find interesting. Maybe other people don't find it as interesting as I do. But this is called the Breyer Bears, which I do think is a confusing name, by the way. I feel like it's going to be hard for people to find this model secondhand, because if someone looks up Breyer Bears online, they are going to see all the Breyer Bears, not just the special run ones here. But anyway, this is a set of 3 Breyer Bear cubs. And note, it is the bear cubs, not the big mama bear. The Breyer Bear Cub mold is quite small. It's not like the big giant mama bear. These models are done in colored clearware, red, yellow, and green. They are inspired by gummy bears, which are one of Germany's most iconic candies. Not only are these models colorful, but they are also sweetly scented and come in a stunning custom packaging that is themed to this year's celebration of Prost. And as of yet, I don't think there's been any reveal of that packaging, at least when I'm making this video, so that is still a mystery. This set is $60 and there are 1,600 made. Alright, so the 4 interesting things about this are: number 1, as far as I can remember, Breyer has never done a decorator for the non-equine special run, outside of any micro runs they have thrown in. In previous years, the animal special runs have always been a realistic colored model. Secondly, I don't believe Breyer has ever done the animal special run as a set of 3. They've had sets of 2 before, but never 3 as far as I can tell, and at least for like bigger traditional scale models. The third interesting thing is that these guys are scented. I don't recall there ever being an official Breyer scented release. I do vaguely remember an article or someone talking about at some point that there was a time where Breyer had experimented with scented models, but they never actually officially released them. It was just something they experimented with. Anyway, to the last and 4th interesting point is the custom packaging. I can't recall if there have ever been BreyerFest special run models with custom packaging, or at least not in the past 10-15 years or so. When they did have porcelain special runs, those would come in a solid white box that would have the writing of the model's name on the box or whatever. But it sounds like the packaging for these bears will be a little bit more creative and intricate. I'm assuming it's probably going to kind of look like the outside of a gummy bear bag or a box of candy. And maybe the models will be visible behind a little clear plastic window or something. Again, they haven't actually released the packaging yet, so I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I am excited to see what that will be. Alright, I know I've been talking about these bears a lot. Lastly, I'll give you guys my own thoughts and opinions on them. I think they are a really fun idea. I am a little disappointed the animal special run isn't a German Shepherd, because I've been hoping for that, but that's alright. These are still really cute. I think my favorite part about this is just the idea of it, and while I have been starting to collect clearware models, these guys are not at the top of my want list. As neat as they are, I don't think I'm going to try and get them. I do think they are just such a fun idea though, and I'm glad that Breyer is doing them. The 6th special run is marzipan, based on what is essentially a dough made from sugar, honey, and ground almonds. In Germany, it is tradition to gift marzipan at Christmas time or use in baked goods. The Breyer marzipan is a Palomino Pinto on the gaming stock horse or Wyatt mold. There are 2,200 made of him, and he is 65 USD. I gotta be honest here, this is the one special run that I feel like is a little out of place compared to the rest. He just feels like a bit of an odd choice to me to use the Wyatt mold, especially since the Hawkeye and Firefly and Fireheart molds are all stock horses, and as you'll see too, they also use Spirit, which is another stock horse mold. It just feels a little strange that they would use yet another stock horse mold. Obviously they'd use at least one for the BreyerFest special runs this year, because they usually mix up the types of horses a lot. But this one just feels odd to me. It obviously makes sense why they used Hawkeye, Firefly, and Fireheart, because they are all new molds, and they of course want to use the new molds for special runs. But this guy just really does feel like an odd choice to me. I also found it kind of funny too when this model was revealed, because it feels like this would have been like the perfect special run for BreyerFest, because it is a very BreyerFest sort of looking model to me. But instead they use glossy vinyl as the BreyerFest model. I really don't normally mind the differences in like breed types and stuff in the special runs, whether or not they match the BreyerFest theme a whole lot or not. But this one is just the only one that this year I'm like, this feels like a little odd choice, but alright. So more about the model itself. I think he's fine. I think he's a nice model. His color is really nice, and so is his pattern. That being said, he is definitely lower on my list of the special runs I want this year. I actually probably won't even try to get him. While I do think he is very nice, I just don't quite love him enough to buy him. Special run number 7 is the Decorator special run for this year. This model is inspired by the famous artwork The Blue Horse, painted by German artist Franz Marc in 1911. Breyer's own Franz model is a light blue decorator on the Spirit mold with a navy mane and tail and 4 navy-colored socks. There are 2,000 pieces of him, and he is 65 USD. If you compare this model to the artwork it's based after, I think this mold is actually a really good choice to represent this art. Personally, I love this guy, even if it's just for the fact that he is on the Spirit mold, which I love, and I also love his color. I generally like the blue-colored decorator models quite a bit. This guy is such a lovely shade of blue. I like his darker points, and he even has brown tricolored eyes, which is a nice added touch. This is a special run that is higher up on my list of models I want this year, and I'm definitely going to be trying to get him. On to the 8th special run. Whereas the last special run was inspired by a painting, this one is inspired by music. More specifically, the famous German classical music composer Johannes Brahms. Breyer created their own Brahms model on the Big Ben mold, painted as a leopard Appaloosa with a glossy finish. His right front leg and shoulder feature a mismark, which is a unique genetic anomaly that sometimes occurs in Appaloosa spotted horses. There are 2,000 pieces, and he is 65 USD. I am honestly really digging this guy. I think his color is super cool, and him being glossy is a fun touch. I do love the fact that he appears to have mottling on his muzzle. I also don't mind this mold choice at all. He is the vintage mold special run for this year, by the way. It is crazy that this mold is technically considered vintage now, because he still feels to me that he isn't that quite old, but he is actually 25 years old now. I think I might try to get this guy. His coloring is just so cool, it's kinda hard not to love him. Now for the 9th and final special run for BreyerFest 2022, Rapunzel. Probably no surprise there that this model is based after the timeless fairy tale character of the same name, The tale of Rapunzel was influenced by a 17th century Italian tale, but was adapted and recorded by the Brothers Grimm and published in 1812. The Breyer Rapunzel has been done as a pony on the new Astrid Norwegian Fjord mold. This is the first time this mold is being released with a new long mane version. Actually, this is the second time this mold has been released at all. The tail appears to be the same as the original Astrid mold, but the mane has definitely been changed. This model is painted as a strawberry roan with 2 white socks, and she has a white blaze on her face. There are 2,400 pieces of this model, and it is $60 USD. I actually really like this model. I think she is very cute. She was not super high on my list originally of the special runs I really wanted, but when I saw her in person at BreyerFest, I changed my mind and realized, oh yeah, I really like this model, and she is going up pretty high on my want list of special runs this year. I think the new mane is a fun and interesting touch. What is really cool too is that she has a little braid in her mane. It looks like it runs from her forelock to her mane, and I just love that. I also think her coloring is very nice. It's kind of hard not to like a nice strawberry roan. She is just an adorable pony, and people are already guessing that she is probably going to have a mane split, which I wouldn't be too surprised of. It is possible that this model may have the short Norwegian Fjord version of the mane, or as someone else had suggested, maybe there's even another version of the mane on this mold that we don't know about yet. So who knows, but don't be surprised if you get this model and maybe it has a mane that is different from the one presented here. This next section of the video is about the contest prize models and raffle models. The prize model for both the BreyerFest diorama and costume contest is the celebration horse Nicholas in gloss. We actually just recently got pictures of this model from Breyer's TikTok, and I actually like him in gloss more than I expected. In the past, it's been typical for the costume contest to have a glossy celebration model be the prize, but this is the first time that this is also the prize model for the diorama contest. It used to be that the diorama contest prize model was a special model made just for the diorama contest. I will admit, I'm personally a little disappointed that that is not the case this year. That is also partially why I decided to not try and enter the diorama contest this year. Earlier in the year, I was originally planning to enter it. However, with my lack of time and energy, I was strongly leaning towards not doing it. And then when I found out the prize model would be a glossy Nicholas and not something made specifically for the diorama contest, that basically solidified my decision to not enter the diorama contest this year. Don't get me wrong, having a glossy Nicholas would still be cool, and I do like him better in these pictures than I imagined him. But he is just not a prize model that was worth it for me this year to personally spend a lot of time, energy, and stress into making a diorama. The BreyerFest Best Customs Contest does still have specially made models as prizes, however. Brandenburg is a black version of the Premier Club model Dundee, and is the grand prize for Best Custom Contest winners. And then the other Best Customs Contest prize model is a stablemate for the runner-ups. And for this year, that is a model called Westfalen, which is a black version of the 2019 Stablemate Club model Iris. I think both of these models are really pretty. Brandenburg is especially really cool having that Dundee pattern, but in black. The BreyerFest Open Show overall Grand Champion prize is called Hildenbrand, based on a Germanic heroic poem about a duel between father and son. The Hildenbrand model is a sooty palomino on the silver mold. The paint job on this model does look really nice. Fortunately, I'm not crazy about this model though. Like, it's not one that I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wish I could have this one. He's very pretty, but he's not something that would make me regret not showing in the Open Show this year. The BreyerFest Open Show overall Grand Reserve Champion prize is Hildegard, a dapple rose gray on the Marabella mold. She is named after a German writer, composer, philosopher, mystic, and visionary known as Hildegard of Bingen. This is a beautiful model with some really pretty coloring, and it is really cool that she is named after someone so talented in the Germanic Middle Ages. But I feel about her much like I do the Grand Champion prize Hildenbrand, in that she is very pretty, but she isn't one that would be going on my Holy Grail want list. On to the Breyer Raffle Models. Breyer has 2 raffle models this year, much like they usually do. The Saturday raffle model is called Lederhosen and is a silver dappled bay, I believe. As of making this video, they haven't released an official BreyerFest blog post on these models, so I'm not 100% sure if that is the correct color. This is on the Troubadour mold, and I know a lot of people are really excited about this model, and I can see why. He is a very neat color on a newer and very popular mold. Surprisingly, I'm not too crazy about him myself. I think his color is very unique and interesting, but he's just not quite the model for me. The Sunday raffle model is called Dirndl and is a dappled gray pinto on the Zafira mold. I know there are quite a lot of people that are upset that the Premier Club model of this mold hasn't been released yet to Premier Club members. Normally the first Premier Club model is released in May, and the latest estimate from Breyer is that it won't be until the end of July or August. I can see how some people are pretty frustrated about this, but personally I'm not really upset by it. Yeah, it would have been nice to have gotten our models before BreyerFest, and there is a possibility I might sell my copy of Zafira, so if I chose to do that, it would have been nice to be able to take her to BreyerFest to sell, but otherwise I just don't really mind. Now back to the actual raffle model Dirndl. I really like the color on this model. Dappled gray pintos are always so unique and interesting, at least to me. And the color alone makes me favor this raffle model over the other one. I think the pattern is just so cool, and I like the nice contrast of the darker mane and tail and the spots above the hooves compared to the much lighter tone of the rest of the model. I'm not quite sure how to feel about this mold yet, though. I did get to see it in person at BreyerFest, and unfortunately I didn't like it as much as I did in the original promo picture from Breyer for the club. I feel like the set of the front legs and shoulders are just a little too far forward, and something about the forearms doesn't look quite right to me either. It's really unfortunate because the rest of the model looks really nice to me, but just those front legs and shoulders on the mold just kind of look off to me and kind of bug me a bit. Maybe I'll be able to look past that when I have this model in hand. And I will say that on the raffle model, I think those issues look less noticeable because the loud pattern distracts from that. Before I move on to the next section, I want to also point out how cool it is how these two models fit into the German BreyerFest theme. Now you may first think, how are two light breed horses a great fit for the theme? But it's all about their colors and their names. Lederhosen are traditional German leather breeches, and the model Lederhosen is colored brown like leather. And then Dirndl is a type of dress that originated in German-speaking areas of the Alps. And this model is colored a rather intricate dappled gray pinto, which I think does kind of give off the essence of a beautiful dress. So I think that is really cool how the colors and names of these models fit the German theme. The final section of this video is talking about the auction models, both silent auction and live auction models. We'll start off with the silent auction models that have been revealed. I'm only going to be talking about models that were made specifically for the silent auction that are one-of-a-kinds. For example, there is a lot of the special run models from BreyerFest 2021 in the silent auction, but I've already talked about those models in past videos, so I'm not going to be talking about them. The first unique model, or rather models I guess, made for the silent auction is a Breyer version of the Grimm fairy tale Bremen Town Musicians. It features a donkey, a dog, a cat, and a rooster all stacked up on top of each other. It does not specifically say on the BreyerFest blog post about this model if they are actually all fused together or not, but I believe they are because from what you can see in this picture, it does look like there's little divots in the plastic underneath the dog's paws and the cat's paws, so I'm guessing they are permanently stuck together and not just loose models that have been stacked on top of each other. I do think this is a really cool model. The colors on all the animals look really great, and I think it's always nice to see Breyer use their other animal molds. The second unique silent auction model is a one-of-a-kind revamp of the original Hala portrait model. The original Hala portrait model was released back in 1977, and it's really cool to see this model get a modern paint job. The horse that this model is based after is actually famous for being the horse to hold the most Olympic gold medals since 1960. While probably not the most flashy or exciting model to many people, I do really like this model and the history she holds. I also just like this mold in general and think it is very underrated. The third unique silent auction model has no picture unfortunately, but it is described as an alternative Den Nevis Deco glossy 2020 BreyerFest Managers model. The Den Nevis, so I'm probably pronouncing wrong by the way, was the 2020 BreyerFest volunteer model, and then usually the managers got the glossy version of it. So it sounds like this is that model except in some kind of decorator color. That'll be really interesting to see. Now for the live auction models, which are almost all one-of-a-kinds and test models, and not all of them are being revealed by Breyer. Some of them we have to wait to see until BreyerFest weekend. Lot number 1 for the live auction is a Bay Leopard Appaloosa on the Shire Gelding or Shannondale mold. This guy is super flashy and on a popular mold, so I would not be surprised if this guy ends up going for a lot of money. I do think he is quite stunning myself. Lot number 2 is a Sooty Dapple Palomino on the Andalusian Stallion mold. This guy has some beautiful depth to his color, a lot of different tones going on, and a lot of dapples. It feels like a lot of care went into painting the dapples and making this guy look realistic. I do think he is beautiful, but he is not one of my favorites of the live auction models. Lot number 3 is a glossy dark bay Tobiano Pinto on the Fighting Stallion mold. His pattern is quite fun with all of these little spots, which I believe are called cat tracks. He is overall very pretty. Not my favorite personally, as I don't collect many models on the Fighting Stallion mold, but he is a classic with a lot of fans, so I'm sure there will be a lot of desire for him. Lot number 4 is a chalky Star Dapple Gray on the Loping Quarter Horse mold. The color on this guy is very pretty. I love how soft all the dapples look. I also love the nice streaks of gray in the tail. Just a very beautiful model. Lot number 5 is a shaded Dapple Dark Chestnut Pinto on the Vallegro mold. I really like this guy's markings. He even has some white that goes underneath his head, which is kind of fun. I know Vallegro also has a lot of fans, and I imagine this guy will go for a lot of money. Lot number 6 is a Sun-Faded Bay Pinto with Somatic Mutation on the Icelandic mold. Somatic mutation is when a horse has stripes of lighter or darker color. I'm assuming on this model it is considered somatic mutation because the front half of this model is lighter and the back half is darker. It's a pretty subtle difference though, and at first glance I did not realize that this guy had a somatic mutation. Maybe it's more noticeable on his other side, but I do think it is neat when Breyer does these rare and unusual colors in their live auction models. As interesting as this color is, this model is not a favorite of mine in the live auction just because I personally don't collect the Icelandic mold. There's no lot number 7, so we have to wait for that one until BreyerFest. Lot number 8 is a chalky shaded dun with two-tone green ribbons on the Missouri Foxtrotter mold. I really like this guy, and he is one of my favorites of the live auction so far. I just love his color. I think it is so pretty and unique. I also absolutely love the leg barring on this guy. The shapes of the bars and how they fade away on his back legs just look so beautiful. Again, Breyer did not reveal lot number 9, so I'll have to wait for that one. Lot number 10 is a Marin full set on the Hawkeye and Firefly mold, which Breyer is calling the Standing Quarter Horse Mare and Walking Quarter Horse foal molds apparently. The mare is a sun-bleached bay frame Overo and the foal is a buckskin. I think both of these models are gorgeous. I love the mare's color and pattern a lot. She would be a super lovely model to have. I'm a little less crazy about the foal, but I also like her a lot. Her color is very nice, and she has that fun big white marking on her face. Lot number 11 is a Dapple Gray Sherman Morgan. Well, I do like this mold. It's not like a huge favorite of mine. However, this guy's color looks so cool. It is just such a stunning color. I love the dapples on it. I also really love these odd, darker patches of dapples on the body. It just looks so unique. I would absolutely not mind having this model in my collection. He is just so interesting and beautiful. Lot number 12 is a glossy dappled bay with blue black points and Sabino spot on the Brishan mold. This guy's color is super pretty, but he doesn't wow me a whole lot, even with those interesting what looks like a blue interface on his black points. I also don't see the Sabino spot on him, which I'm guessing must either be on his other side or underneath his belly where it's hard to see from a side view. He's very neat, but just not my favorite of the live auction models for this year. Since this mold is in the live auction, it is possible now that it is no longer a contender for being the mold for the rotating draft surprise, like I had guessed before in my surprise horse speculation video. So that is something to maybe keep in mind. Lot number 13 is a black Sabino Carrillo, however you say that, with a factory custom roached mane on the Nakota mold. I think the color on this guy is really stunning. The markings and mapping on it are very cool, and the black gives a nice contrast to that. I am not a fan, however, of the roached mane. It just looks very odd to me to see the Nakota mold without his iconic crazy mane. So I have some mixed feelings on this guy. I love his color, but not a fan of the roached mane. Lot number 14 is a shaded dark red Bay Tobiano Pinto on the Esprit mold. I really like both the color and pattern on this model. The color is really rich, and I quite like minimal Tobianos that have that sort of patch of white on their shoulders. The mix of black and white and gray in his tail is also very nice looking. I personally quite like this model a lot. Lot number 15 is a German flag glossy decorator model. The colors are a pearly black, red, and gold in the pattern of a leopard Appaloosa. This is obviously a fun way to celebrate the theme of BreyerFest this year, and there's also the possibility that maybe this color was at some point done as a test for the rotating draft surprise decorator variation. However, I highly doubt that the surprise model would be on this mold since it was used as a store special last year, but it is kind of fun to speculate that maybe they tested out this color as an idea for the surprise. I highly doubt that we'll see this exact color on the surprise model, however. I don't think Breyer will usually show their hand that easily on the colors for the surprise model. I do think this guy is really cool, however, I'm not a huge fan of the gold. I kind of would have preferred it just be yellow, personally. Breyer did not reveal auction lots number 16 through 19, which means we'll have to wait till BreyerFest to see those. They did reveal one final auction lot before BreyerFest, however, and they left this one off with a bang. Lot number 20 is a few spot leopard Appaloosa with war paint on the Mustang Stallion, aka Fireheart mold. This is very wow-worthy. They didn't say it here, but this model looks to me like it has a white base coat on it, so it's a white paint instead of bare plastic. Therefore, it makes the contrast between the black and the white even more stark. Personally, I love this guy, but I am also just a sucker for models with war paint and nice loud patterns like this. He is very cool. I think he might even be my favorite of the live auction models shown so far for this year. It will also be interesting to see how much he goes for, as it seems like a lot of other people really like this guy too. So that is it for the BreyerFest live auction lots, and talking about the BreyerFest 2022 models in general. This will be my last video before BreyerFest, unless for some reason I decide to do like a spontaneous live stream, but I highly doubt I'm going to have time for that. I will do videos about my BreyerFest experience and haul after BreyerFest, although those are probably not going to come out until August, so I'm sorry to say that it will be a little while before I have any new videos out. In the meantime, you can follow me on social media for various posts and updates. I hope you all have an awesome BreyerFest, whether that is in person or virtually. Maybe I'll even see some of you at in-person BreyerFest. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye, everyone!